Alright, this is the highly requested Jon Does MMA GOAT list. I will be ranking the top 20 greatest mixed martial artist fighters ever. And this is going to be the generic, you gotta have Jones, GSP, Mighty Mouse, Silva, and Khabib, right? You know, top 5, that's obvious, you can't change those. These are all obviously going to be my opinions, but I'm also going to be using some facts, you know what I'm saying? Alright, kicking off the list, we got number 20, Fedor Emelianenko, and he is lucky to even be on this list, I'll be honest. Obviously, he never fought in the UFC, which is already knocking his career, you know what I mean? He had a record of 40-7, although he never fought in the UFC, fought for Rise Pride, Bellator, all these fucking can-ass organizations, but never fought for the UFC. For his title wins, he went 4-2. He won 4 of the Pride straps and then lost to Bader twice for the Bellator shitty straps. And you might be thinking, oh, he was in his 40s. I'll just say this right now, and this goes for the whole list. It doesn't matter if you're fucking 50 and you lose, those losses count against you. Because at the same way that Jose Aldo just came back and got a win, and that helps his legacy, if he came back and he lost, that would also hurt it. Because if not, what happens is you just keep spam fighting for free legacy because you know people won't count it against you. Same concept as if Silva ended up beating Adesanya when they fought, he'd get a lot of credit for that. So therefore, he should also lose some credit when he does lose. Bader has some good wins, I'll give him that. Beat Mark Coleman twice, beat Big Nog twice, beat Kevin Randleman when he got slammed, Crow Cop, Mark Hunt. And then outside of that, it's complete fucking cans. I mean, maybe I'm just not tapped in like y'all. But after he won his first championship for Pride, he fought fucking Hajidijas Valavicius. And I know you might be thinking, who the fuck is that guy? Yeah, these are the type of guys that Fedor's been farming his 40 wins on. And as far as his losses, he lost to Werdum, Silva, and Dan Henderson, all by finish in his prime, in his early 30s, dude. And then he lost to Bader when he was a can. So Fedor, and I'm telling you right now, I made a little mistake. Fedor shouldn't even be in the list because I low-key forgot a guy. Alright, next one we got Charles Oliveira. MMA record of 34-10. UFC record of 24-10. In his title wins, he went 3-1 with 2 defenses. And yes, even though he didn't technically defend against Gaethje, I'm just going to fucking not be an idiot, use my brain, and count that as a defense. You'll be noticing that a lot for this list. I'm not a complete retard. On that championship run, Charles Oliveira definitely stacked some good names. You know, he got Poirier, he got Gaethje, he got Chandler, Tony Ferguson. And at that time, Tony Ferguson wasn't too washed. Kevin Lee, Jim Miller, Clay Guida, came back, beat Dariush. And so you'd consider those all good wins, right? Like a lot of people was like, oh, that's enough to be the lightweight GOAT. Because people, you know, and I'll just say this, people overrate Charles Oliveira. There's no shot in hell he can be the lightweight GOAT. He's top 3 though. But a big problem with Charles is he just has too many losses. Recently, he lost to Islam and Arman. Like, those aren't bad. But I'm sure all y'all know he lost to fucking Felder, lost to Lamas, lost to Pettis, lost to Max Holloway, Cub Swanson, Frankie Edgar. Even fucking like guys like Donald Cerrone, dude. Spent too long being a journeyman. If he somehow made a miraculous title run and beat Islam, then you could start talking about him maybe getting back in them lightweight GOATs. But until then, not a fucking chance. All right, next one, we got maybe one of the most underrated guys that coming in at 18, Aljamain Sterling. MMA record of 24-4, UFC record of 16-4. In UFC title wins, he went 3-1 with 3 defenses. And no, that isn't a typo. I'm just not going to count that first Jan fight either way. Because it's not fair to give him a loss because the fight, you know, got ended early by an illegal knee, even though Jan probably would have won. But also, I think it's retarded that you give a guy a win for a DQ. When it's just talking like me and you, you're just using common sense. But regardless, Aljo's really got an underrated resume. I mean, he beat Peter Yan, Henry Cejudo, TJ Dillashaw, Corey Sandhagen, Pedro Munoz, and recently Calvin Kattar. Because it's funny, all these wannabe hardcores will see a guy like Sandhagen and be like, he's so fucking underrated. He's like the true dark horse. He's better than Sugar Sean O'Malley or whatever. Same type of guys to say Sterling's overrated and he had no legacy. It's like you can't go both ways with those. He's not mine, but he's arguably the Bantamweight GOAT, depending on how you want to slice it. Again, like that Jan win, that second fight Jan win, that's a legit win. Yes, he won that fight, and yes, being Jan, that's a really good fucking win. Obviously, he lost recently to the Austrian blasting Sean O'Malley. And yes, I don't think Sean was on Austrian for that fight. Point is, dude's a bum. Got kneed by Marlon Moraes and like had some shitty losses like a little bit earlier in that UFC career. But recently, dude went on an absolute tear. Very good run, underrated. At number 17, we got Randy Couture, and don't worry, after this, only one more old head and then we're done. MMA record of 19-11, UFC record of 16-8. Went 10-6 in title wins. Had 2 defensives and it was a double champ. Obviously not simultaneous double champ, but I'll just be calling that double champ for this sake. And Randy Couture is actually one of the few old heads that actually has a good resume. Fought good competition. You know, you guys got Beat Belfort twice, beat Ortiz, beat Chuck Liddell, Kevin Randleman, beat Pedro Rizzo twice. You know, you can see it's falling off a little bit. But still, compared to some of these other guys, like you guys dick ride, like fucking Fedor, or even like Kevin Randleman, I've heard guys say Royce Gracie, like, get the fuck out of here, dude. At the same time, he also lost to Jordan Belfort, Josh Barnett, Chuck Liddell twice. And it's like Randy Couture had a lot of title wins, but he also had a lot of title wins losses. This dude literally fought for a belt 13 consecutive times despite having like 5 losses sprinkled in there. It's just early time at the UFC, so there wasn't that many competition. Because of that, obviously a UFC 50 strap means a lot less than a UFC 300 strap. That's just common sense. So because of that, you got to knock the old head a good amount for that. So he's coming in at number 17. Number 16, Henry Cejudo. The Triple C is not making the top 15. Fuck you. MMA records 16-4, UFC records 10-4. Went 3-3 in title wins, and he was a double champ simultaneously. And you might notice, like, yo, why didn't you put his gold wrestling medal? I don't know. Maybe because that means nothing for MMA. I don't know why people always bring that up. Or they want to be like, the greatest combat sports athlete. Well, I don't give a fuck about this. This is ranking MMA fighters. Fuck that. All right, his best wins are Dominic Cruz, Marlon Moraes, TJ Dillashaw. And then you can see Cejudo's problem because it really starts falling off. Then you guys got like cans like Sergio Pettis, Jusir Forminga, you know, some other randoms that I'll be honest, I don't even really know. As far as losses, he's lost to Mighty Mouse twice. And yes, I know, I'm putting that like that. Mighty Mouse got robbed in that fight. And I won't be doing this for everything. Like a close fight, I won't give it a fucking robbery. You'll see him very soon with Adesanya. I give him the second Romero fight because it's really close. His second fight with Mighty Mouse, not close at all. He clearly lost that. Just made a video about UFC robberies. Him, GSP, and Jon Jones are all on there. And I actually break the fights down in detail, like it's a legit reason. Anyway, he also lost to Aljo, lost to Marab, lost to Marab recently. You know, those aren't bad losses, but again, him coming back really did no fucking wonders for his legacy. Like, I'll just say this, if Cejudo didn't come back, low-key, maybe slips in like top 11, 12. But those 2 losses coming back really did hurt him, especially the way he got dominated by Marab. All right, number 15, Israel Adesanya, bro. And I'll just say this, bro. Perry's ahead of him. Fuck you. Fuck Izzy. I hate this guy. I hate this guy. Oh, just kidding, man. His best wins, Alex Perry, that's a really good win. Robert Whittaker twice. And yes, even though you could argue very easily, and in my opinion, kind of clearly, that Whittaker won, it's too close for me to actually fuck him over on his legacy. Same with that Romero fight, though. You know, this dude's got shaky wins. Good win against Paulo Costa and I guess Kevin Gastelum. That fucking lightweight of a thing. Went 24-3, had a record of 13-3. 8-3 in title wins with 6 defenses. But the problem about those, some of those defenses are shaky to say the least. Like, it's not a good look when you can easily argue that, like, 2 of your best wins, Romero and Whittaker, that you lost. And recently he's lost to Strickland, Pereira, Blachowicz. You know, his legacy will get tarnished even more. Thank the Lord when Drickus fucking handles this dude. Like, I promise you, in 10 years, Adesanya's legacy is going to be fucking cooked, bro. Absolutely fucking cooked. All right, the last old head on the list, Matt Hughes, coming in at number 14. Went 45-9-0, but who gives a shit about that? In the UFC, he went 19-7. He went 10-3 on title wins with 8 defenses. And as far as his wins, you know, he's got a guy like GSP, Carlos Newton 3 times, and then you drop all the way down to like Sean Shirk, Frank Trigg. It's getting whatever. Has quite a few losses. Lost to GSP, Alves, BJ Penn twice. Lost to guys like Josh Koscheck. Jesus Christ, I almost had a fucking stroke there. Speaking of strokes, I'm happy this motherfucker got hit by a train and has his brain all fucked up. Yeah, I know that's kind of random. I know you're like, holy shit, dude, what the fuck? What's wrong with you? Matt Hughes is a terrible person. He's a piece of shit. And low-key, world's a better place if that train, you know, crushes him fully. He's a wife abuser. He admitted basically to raping a chick when she was 17 and he was 22. Doesn't treat animals right. He's a horrible dude. And honestly, part of me just wanted to keep him off the list just because of that. But no, I'm putting my bias aside. But when you got new prospects coming up, they run you over. And like Colby coming in said, when the trains are coming, you get off the tracks. Hughes, fuck you. All right, let's calm back down. Number 13, Alex Pereira. He went 10-2 in MMA, 7-1 in the UFC. And boy, like, does this dude's like, okay, I'm going to glaze a little bit. But this dude's fucking like, but this dude's actual level and just skill and all that really stands out when you're like, holy shit, he has 8 UFC fights. He's 3-1 in the UFC with 1 defense, and he's a 2-division weight class champ. Like, holy shit, dude, I'm gonna come. You know, his best wins, Jamal Hill, Yuri Prohaska, Adesanya, Strickland, Blachowicz. And those 2 wins with Jamal Hill and Yuri, man, like, those are underrated-ass wins. Like, those guys never lost their belt to anyone outside Alex. They just had to vacate that shit, bro. Like, that just shows you how clear he is of the light heavyweight division. Currently, obviously, unfortunately, he's not the all-time GOAT with that. We got a steroid rat. He is the all-time GOAT. You know, he's 1 loss to Izzy, Legit, I'm not going to cope about that. Be like, oh, he was winning the most of the fight because, in that first fight, I decided he was winning most of the fight. It's whatever. It's one loss, but at the same time, it's a loss to the number 15th best dude of all time. Alex Pereira, kind of simple, nothing to say. In the second he beats Magomed, and once he beats Magomed Ankalaev, you can see him jumping right up to the number 10 spot all time. And you could definitely argue that this dude should be higher. But part of me, it's easier to put him lower when he's still got his career because I'm like, oh, he'll jump up though, don't worry. All right, number 12, we got Stipe Miocic, 20-4 MMA, 14-4 UFC. Went 6-2 in UFC title wins and with 4 defenses. And yes, I do have this dude as the heavyweight GOAT, but at the same time, it's like I'll just say this right now, bro. 2 defenses at heavyweight is 1 defense at lightweight. And 3 defenses at flyweight is 1 defense at lightweight. Yes. Certain divisions are just more impressive than others. His best wins, he beat DC twice. A little bit of an asterisk because DC's coming up, but not really at the same time because DC was able to hand himself a heavyweight good. Beat Ngannou via wet blanket. Beat Overeem, Verdum, Mark Hunt, Dos Santos. He has some actually good heavyweight wins. I'll give Stipe that. Part of the problem, though, is he's also lost to those same dudes. He lost to Cormier and Ngannou. And unfortunately, he's going to get farmed for legacy by Jones, which honestly, I don't think will change his spot at all. If he somehow beats Jones, dude, Stipe might jump to my top 5 just for fucking beating that juicehead Jones. That would make my year. But it won't happen, unfortunately. All right, number 11, Dominic Cruz, MMA record of 24-4. UFC record of 7-3. That's because he spent a lot of time in WEC, which isn't pride level of Candace, but obviously it's less than the UFC. He went 4-2 in title wins with 3 defenses of the UFC strap, and he also went 3-1 in WC titles. The thing about Dominic Cruz, he actually has some good ass wins, bro. He's got Mighty Mouse legit, only due to hand Mighty Mouse a loss in the UFC actually. Beat Faber twice, beat TJ Dillashaw, Joseph Benavidez, Pedro Munoz, that one Asian dude, I don't remember his name, Mizugaki or some shit like that. And boy, does that loss to Cody, who's my favorite fighter of all time, just fucking age worse and worse and worse. Good thing for Dominic Cruz, at least, is people understand that was a once in a lifetime thing, I guess. Fortunately, lost to Cejudo. And then recently when he got KO'd by Cheeto, that was just tough to watch because Cheeto absolutely sucks, even though I like the dude. And then he lost to Faber when he was in the WC. Widely considered the Bantamweight GOAT. Unfortunately, his resume just doesn't stack up that good. Still like Dominic Cruz, though. All right, number 10, we got Marty Fake Juzman, Kamaru Usman, CEO of EPO, whatever you want to call him. He's still a top 10 fighter of all time. MMA record of 24-0, UFC record of 15-3-0. In UFC title wins, he went 6-2 and had 5 defenses. And then this is the biggest problem with Kamaru Usman's legacy. You're already looking at the list and being like, yeah, it's not that impressive. Beat Colby Covington twice, and honestly, those are and those are not great wins. Just in terms of the fact that in that second fight, I think Colby either drew the fight or won. And in the first fight, you can actually legitimately argue a fucking late stoppage, and Colby was up in that fight. And then you go to his other one, and it's like, oh, you beat Jorge Masvidal twice. Oh my God, very impressive. Beat Gilbert Burns, who, I'm maturing and realizing he's not that good. Tyron Woodley, that's a really good win, though. Prime Woodley was scary. Beat Edwards, which in hindsight is pretty good. He has 2 losses to Edwards and a loss to Hamzat, but I would argue that at worst he drew with Hamzat, and he probably should have won. But in my book, that gets balanced out by his kind of fraudulent Colby wins. As far as the Leon losses, in that second fight, he basically won the whole fight, got head kicked. So it's not that horrible loss. And in that third fight, I actually thought it was pretty competitive, not to mention since Leon was cheating the whole time, grabbing gloves, eye poking, kicking Usman in the nuts, fence grabbing, and that was horrible to watch. I can't wait till Bilal Muhammad beats Leon Edwards. It's gonna be great. Never thought I'd root for Bilal Muhammad, but here I am. All right, number 9, Jose Aldo. Might surprise some y'all, but 32-8 MMA, UFC record of 14-7, went 8-4 in title wins, and racked up 6 defenses. And and I know he had some WC shit, but I ain't counting that. My biggest problem with Jose Aldo's legacy is when you look at his best wins, they're not that good. You got Chad Mendes, Frankie Edgar on there twice, the Korean Zombie, Renato Moicano when he was at 145, Uriah Faber, Ricardo Lamas. But then you look at his losses, and it's Max Holloway twice, McGregor, Volk, Marlon Moraes, and that's when part of you's like, shit, dude, when this dude was fighting the best of the best, the prime dudes at the time, he was getting his ass whooped. No matter how you want to slice it, dude. In the prime of his fucking career, at a point, he was 1-3 in title wins. He lost to McGregor, got his strap back, but then he lost to Max Holloway twice, and this wasn't a wash, dude. We just saw this right now. He just came back in the year 2024, and he was looking great. If that doesn't tell you he wasn't washed back then, I don't know what the fuck will. Although he's not washed, so you can't give him an excuse, and even if he is washed, I don't really give a shit. And a lot of people just think it's natural to have Jose Aldo in the top 5. I see this less and less, thank God, but it's can you name me some of Jose Aldo's early title defenses? You can't, so I'll name them for you. You got Mark Hominick, Kenny Florian. It's Who are these dudes? These are the cans you're farming legacy off of. And speaking of farming legacy, number 8, Anderson Silva. And I already know people. Some people have this dude a top 3 fighter of all time. No, he's a steroid can-crushing bum. Yes, I said it. Anderson Silva's a fucking bum. MMA record of 34-11, 1 no contest, Juice had. UFC record of 18-7. That no contest was against Nick Diaz, so no, that doesn't go on his wins. You can't cheat and get rewarded for a win. That's just how it works. In his title wins, he went 11-2, and he had 9 defenses, but you'll see from the list, like, this dude was just beating up cans. And honestly, the way bigger problem than the can being, because, you know, that was a crazy streak regardless of how shit his competition was. It's the losses, dude. Like, you have to, like, when Silva came back and fought Bisping for the belt, a lot of people say, oh, that's not him, that's washed him, so you shouldn't count that or whatever. If you're going to count that win and be like, oh my god, that's an amazing win, if he won, you have to count that loss. But his best wins are against Chael Sonnen twice, and still whooped Anderson's ass for 24.5 minutes. Beat Henda, that's a good one. Rich Franklin twice. Vitor Belfort. Damian Maia, that's a good one too. And Forrest Griffin. Some other dudes that thrown there like Nate Marquardt and the other Japanese dude or whatever the fuck, like Okami. Not very impressive in my book. And as far as his losses, so he loses to Weidman the first time. Everyone's like, oh, that's a fluke though. But then they have the rematch. He gets his ass knocked out again. Cheats against Nick Diaz. Loses to Bisping. Loses to Cormier. That Cormier fight's a little bit I'm not gonna be too hard on him, because he had to fill in for another juicehead, Jon Jones, who popped. Beat Derek Brunson. Lost to Izzy. Lost to Cannonier. Lost to Uriah Hall. Really just fucking tarnished his legacy at the end there, I can't lie. So because of the weak wins and just the absurd amount of losses, I got him at 8. At number 7, we got Khabib Nurmagomedov. Obviously, big thing, undefeated, 29-0 in MMA. And before you say, oh, that's against cans, when he got to the UFC and was fighting the best of the best, still went 13-0. In his title wins, he went 4-0 and had 3 defenses. So I do not want to hear about him fighting fucking cans. I don't really value anyone's wins, like their amateur wins or even pro wins outside of the UFC. Unless you're an old head and you're like a Strikeforce WEC, then I give a little bit of credit. His best wins are Poirier, Gaethje, McGregor, and people underrate that. That McGregor win's still a good win. Ally Quinta, Edson Barboza, and then it really falls off. Michael Johnson, and then you got RDA. It's funny though, because people say Khabib didn't fight anybody. His fucking competition was shit. They never fought grapplers. But it's like, take a look back at Oliveira's wins in his resume, and it's like, it's a lot of the same dudes, you know what I mean? He farmed on Chandler, he farmed on Poirier and Gaethje, which are all good wins, and I've always thought those were good wins. But it's like, they can't be good wins for Oliveira and not good wins for Khabib just because you don't like Khabib. Losses, none. And before you say, listen to me, I watched the fight, you just repeat that because you heard some dude say it in a comment section. Khabib definitely won 2 rounds. And you might be like, oh, he only had 4 title wins, but it's like, 4 title wins at lightweight, the most impressive weight class, means a hell lot more than like a flyweight or heavyweight wins. So because of that, I have Khabib at number 7, and I think that's fair ranking compared to some people having him as the GOAT, and then some people like, yo, Khabib, that you can't even be top 10 just because they don't like him. At number 6, we got DC. MMA record of 23-0, UFC record of 11. MMA record of 22-3, UFC record of 11-3. In his title fights, he was 6-3 with 4 defenses, and he was a double champ. His best wins are Stipe, Anthony Roma Johnson twice, Gustafsson, Derek Lewis, Volkan Ozdemir. And I'll just be honest, he's also got wins like Anderson Silva, Frank Mir, that Fatso Roy Nelson. And he has 3 losses, but the losses obviously are against Stipe Miocic twice, heavyweight GOAT, and 1 loss to Jon Jones. Yes, I'm not giving him 2 losses to Jon Jones when Jon Jones literally popped for fucking steroids. He was cheating in that fight. You can't fuck over DC for Jon Jones cheating. That's just that simple. And honestly, the reason why that makes me so mad is if Jon Jones isn't juicing, I honestly think DC could have won that fight. Before he got head kicked, he was up on rounds and just needed to survive. It's like, who knows, man? Not to mention DC was 38 and Jones was 30. Like I'll just say this right now. Prime DC beats Prime Jones, assuming Jones isn't fucking cheating on the sauce. But I digress. I guess all that is kind of yapping. It doesn't matter. Really good resume, pretty good wins, and just overall dominance. Maybe my hottest take yet. Number 5, Islam Makhachev. 25-1 MMA, 14-1 in the UFC. 3-0 in title wins with 2 defenses. I'll just talk about his loss first, you know what I'm saying? Fluky lost to Adriano Martins, the guy who looks like Pantoja. Lost fair and square. Does it really mean much? Not really. But this is why I have him number 5 all time. It's in the hardest division in the sport, right? He has 2 wins over Volkanovski, who, guess what? hasn't been on this list yet, and he's making a list. So you know how much I value a Volkanovski win. In that first fight, you know, it was so close. That's another thing. I think Volk won, but it's too close to call it a robbery, so I'll give credit to Islam. Second fight puts Volk away. First guy to ever do it. It doesn't even matter that it was on short notice. Volk was looking fine out there. He wasn't looking comically fat. And it's not like Islam gassed him out until the fucking third round and then kicked him. No, he went out there in one round, knocked his head clean off his shoulders. Crazy impressive. He's going to farm free legacy on Dustin Poirier. This is another thing about Islam that, like, I've never understood. His big knock is, oh, he doesn't fight lightweights. He only fights featherweights. It's like he fought Charles Oliveira and was going to give him the rematch until, you know, Charles Oliveira was the one who pulled out. So a featherweight had to replace him. But this will be great on 302 when Islam subs Dustin Poirier, maybe in the first, maybe the second round. And then I can hear from the same people like, oh, Dustin Poirier's washed though, bro. Dustin Poirier, oh, that's a shitty win. Meanwhile, same dudes were clowning him for fighting Volk. That's rich. But besides Volk, you know what I'm saying? He's got Charles Oliveira, top 3 lightweight ever, and derailed him out of his prime. So a little bonus points. Oh, I have Dustin Poirier on there, even though they haven't fought, because I know Islam's going to win. And then after that, it falls off pretty hard. You know, you got Dan Hooker, Bobby Green, Drew Dober, but nothing really crazy. But my whole thing is, he's in lightweight, hardest division, most impressive wins will be from the lightweight division. Beat a top 5, because I don't want to say, beat a top 5, and it's higher than top 5, but I don't want to say the number because I don't want to reveal it yet. Guy ever in Volkanovski, beat prime Charles Oliveira, is going to get a good one in Dustin Poirier. And honestly, I could clearly see Islam becoming the GOAT of MMA, as long as he stays in it. I don't know who beats this guy, seriously. Besides maybe Topuria moving up, since Topuria's got that good boxing and that good grappling. All right, another controversial one. Number 4, Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse. MMA record of 26-3-1. UFC record of 16-1-1. He was 13-1 in his title wins in the UFC, had 11 defenses. And I won't really be talking about his one, because while he did win a Mickey Mouse championship, he also lost and got knocked out in his first fight, so I'll just scratch that off the record. You know, best win Cejudo twice. Yes, he technically lost to Cejudo, but I'm giving him the Cejudo fight. There's a whole video on that fight. I don't give a shit. It was too obvious for me not to count it. And then this is where you see the problem with Demetrius Johnson's legacy, bro. Like, bro, I'm trying to find this dude's best wins, and I'm pulling up Tim Elliott, Ray Borg, Joseph Benavidez twice, and John Dodson, dude. Like, you want to talk about Kansas? This just shows how badly the flyweight division sucks. Because I already know you guys are saying, oh, this dude's the GOAT. A lot of people have this guy's the GOAT. They want to be different. They want to be that guy. Like, oh, Mr. Hardcore. I don't give a shit that this dude's in the shittiest weight class. All right, outside the ones on the screen, name me some of his title defenses. Please just do it. Because I don't think you're coming up with names like John Moraga, Ali Bugatinov, followed by a guy like Kyoji Horiguchi. I don't want to hear no dude in the comments talking about what you boys know about prime John Dodson. He was a dog, though. Like, y'all don't know about that guy. Like, the Dodson that KO'd Dillashaw in that Ultimate Fighter finale, like, that dude's different, bro. Don't care. That dude sucks, along with the whole flyweight division. So, yes, Demetrius Johnson is going to get knocked pretty big for that, because you could get him up there higher. But no, I'm not. Number 3, Alexander Volkanovski, my boy Volk. 26-4 in MMA, 13-3 in the UFC. In his title wins, he went 6-3 with 5 defenses. You know, Volk's got 3 wins over one of the best fighters of all time in Max Holloway. Max Holloway is a 20 top fighter of all time. Yeah, I know you might be like, but dude, you don't even have Holloway in your video. Massive fuck up, yes, is what it is. You know what I'm saying? In my list, I don't even know how, I just forgot him, deadass. I would put him at the 16th spot and move everyone down one. So yes, that would mean Fader would get the fuck out of the top 20. But anyway, 3 wins against Max Holloway. Very good wins. Beat Jose Aldo in Jose Aldo's prime. Very good win. And this is the problem with all the fans. Oh, that wasn't prime Aldo. Dude, he was 32 years old. How is that not your prime? Anyway, I'm just going to ignore y'all because you guys are annoying. Decent wins over T-City, Chad Mendes, Yair Rodriguez, the Korean Zombie, and then it falls off a little bit. And boy, does it pay me to get to his losses, because up until recently, these were looking spotless. But his losses, they have a little bit of asterisk to them. First fight to Islam, you can barely even call it a loss. I think it's a win in my book. But for the official rankings, I'll count it as a quote-unquote loss, but extremely close fight. Very good performance. That just boosts him up all the time. That does not fucking knock him down somehow, even though it's a loss. Second fight on Islam, not so much, you know what I'm saying? He gets head kicked. Obviously, it's 9 days short notice, but does that really matter when you get finished in the first round? It does, you know what I'm saying? You're not locked in. You didn't get a full camp. You didn't get a game plan right. But still, he was going to lose that fight regardless in my book. He was just a little bit older. Islam was just a little bit better. That fight was in Abu Dhabi. If he lost a decision in his backyard of Australia, he definitely wasn't going to win a decision in Abu Dhabi. So that sucks, but his wins. Then his recent loss to Ilia Topuria. Oh my god, this fucking pains me so much. But honestly, Ilia Topuria looks so good. Has that crazy jiu-jitsu, has that crazy boxing. This loss will age fantastic, trust me. Ilia Topuria, he would go out there, he would sleep Max, he'd sleep Ortega, he'd sleep Masvidal, he'd sleep anyone in this division as far as I see it right now. And Volk being in the 145 division, yes, all of his wins are more impressive than Mighty Mouse's solely because of that. That's just how it works around these parts, buddy. Number 2, we got GSP, George Russ St. Pierre. MMA record of 25-3, UFC record of 19-3. In his title fights, he went 13-2 with 10 defenses and was a double champ. And GSP is a little bit of an old head, but the thing is, he has the good old head wins. You got BJ Penn on there twice. You got Carlos Condit. And actually, what you boys know about Carlos Condit, I'm not trying to be like that, but he's got Nick Diaz. He's got Bisping. Got Matt Hughes on there twice. Got Matt Serra. Got Dan Hardy. And he's got some other canish wins, but I'm not going to talk too much about those. In his title fights, went 12-3, had 10 defenses, and was a double champ. As far as his losses, he's got the Hughes loss. That's not even a bad loss. As you know, Hughes somehow made the top 15 in this list. Matt Serra, that one was obviously fluky. But he got both of those back. And yes, Johnny Hendricks is on this list, even though GSP technically did beat him. Once again, he's in that video. Fights too clear in Hendricks' favor to even give it to GSP. But a saving grace for GSP is Johnny Hendricks was clearly sauced out of his fucking mind. He was juiced to the tits. Because when testing came in, this dude absolutely sucks. So that's not a horrible loss. And even though it was a clear loss, it was still a close fight. So it's not like an ass whooping or anything. And I'll just say this right now. If GSP doesn't take that break for 4 years in between that Bisping and that Hendricks fight, he would be the GOAT. And in my opinion, he still has a chance to be a GOAT, depending on how Jon Jones' end of career plays out. But as of right now, I got him at the 2 comfortably. One of my favorite fighters of all time. All love. Number 1, it is Jon Jones. Gonna be a lot of complaints. He's a wife beater. He's gay. He's a drug abuser. All that stuff. It's all true. As far as the personal shit, that doesn't matter. Matt Hughes wouldn't be on the list if it did. And as far as the drugs, but I'll be honest, it doesn't affect him enough in my book to become to not be the GOAT. And I'm telling you, I hate Jon Jones. I'm the biggest Jon Jones hater, but I still got him at number 1 for a reason. Went 27-1 with 1 no contest in his MMA record. 21-1-0 with 1 no contest. In his title wins, he went 14-1, had 11 defenses, and recently became a double champ. His best wins is 1 win over Cormier. As I've said before, I'm not going to count that second fight when this dude's literally blasting out of his mind. Not fair to anyone. Beat Shogun, beat Glover, beat Gustafsson twice, beat Evans, beat Gahn. Another good one, Machida, Rampage Jackson, Chaelson, and then the quad he drops a bit off with a guy like Anthony Smith, but still. A lot of good wins, a lot of good names, former champs, even if they were old and undersized at the time. Jon Jones still whooped on their ass. No diddy, bruh. And as far as his loss, yes, he lost to Dominic Reyes. Clear, obvious. I'm counting that Reyes loss. Once again, if you want like a strike-by-strike shit, I basically have a video on that if you don't believe me. But despite that, his resume is too big. He has too many title defenses against too many memorable names. So I just had to go with Jones. Although, the gap between Jones and GSP isn't as big as people think. I have them pretty close to each other. So, if somehow this dude loses to Stipe, I'm booting him right off that number 1. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the universe just to give me any reason. Part of me was thinking, he ducked Dominic Reyes in that rematch. He ducks Tom Aspinall. That's gotta hurt your legacy somewhat, picking your fights. That's what they're always complaining about Khabib doing. But now that Jon Jones does it, it's cool. What's up with that? But all the hit and run, drug abusing, PD using, wife hitting, all that shit aside, I gotta have Jones as the number 1 fighter of all time. And it pains me to do it, I'm telling you. But that's my list. And to reiterate, Max Holloway is supposed to be in here at the number 16 slot. It's just my fuck up. What else can I say? A lot of y'all was asking for this, so I had to drop it. There's too many names to mention, but I'll just throw some of them up on the screen. Thank y'all very much for the video suggestion. This one was a good one. I'm extremely hungover. If you saw any of my comments on the last video, I was looking like fucking McGregor on Twitter. But regardless, thank you so much for watching. It is Jon Does MMA, and see you until next time.